Hello everyone, today Manzura, Adiba, Oinura and me are going to present our presentation about Jane Eyre, and because of some reasons we couldn't make it Zoom meeting with Adiba, but at all we managed to do that. And first Adiba is going to present about author's biography and books overview, and then we will continue others. Then let's start. There is an outline here. The first, we want to start with Charlotte Bronte biography, then book overview. Then we want to continue with book summary briefly, and the other two are main characters, themes, and symbols. Let's start.
Hello. First of all, I want to say that today's our topic is about Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. From the beginning, I would say that today's our topic was done were done by Timur, Ainura, by me, and Mansoura. First of all, I will start as I chose the first and second topics. First of all, I will briefly introduce what we will talk about today. The first thing what I'm going to talk is Charlotte Bronte's biography, then the overview of the book, Jane Eyre, then the summary of the book, the main characters, themes, and symbols. Well, I will tell only the first and second things, as others was divided to the by other my members. Biography. Charlotte Bronte, she's a novelist and she's a poet. She was born in the 21st of April in 1816 in England. She was the eldest daughter among in the Bronte's sister, who survived into adulthood and whose novels became one of the famous classics of English literature. When it comes to the overview of the book, the novel follows the story of Jane. It is about Jane. And she's the book describes how she passed, how she came across of the obstacles of her life, how it was struggling and difficult for her. Jane had many obstacles in her life, her cruel and abusive aunt, the grim conditions at Lowood School, and her love for Rochester and Rochester's marriage to Bertha. So as you see, it's like an overview of the book, but from the overview, we can understand how it was difficult for her. I mean, like the obstacles, the problems on her life. So other parts will be told by my other members. Thank you.
Let's briefly talk about book summary. First, it was Jean was traumatized by the ghost of her uncle. Then she had so many difficult moments, memories at school. She treats so badly at school, and then she secretly falls in love in Rochester. But then she finds out that Rochester was married to Bertha, and she flees. After that, Jane inherits a fortune, and the following moment was John proposes to Jane, but she refuses. She refuses it, and then Bertha dies in a fire, and Jane and Rochester marry each other. Jane 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 saves Rochester, and she agrees to marry him. Yeah, that was a briefly summary of the book.
Hi everyone, I am Oynura and now I would like to talk about the main characters of this novel. So we will start with Jane Eyre. Jane Eyre, she was the protagonist and narrator of the novel. She was an intelligent, honest, plain-featured young girl forced to contend with oppression, inequality, and hardship. We can say that she was independent, strong, and spirited. Although she meets with a series of individuals who threaten her autonomy, Jane repeatedly succeeds at asserting herself and maintains her principles of human dignity and morality. Jane Eyre, she values intellectual and emotional fulfillment because her strong belief in gender and social equality challenges Victorian prejudice against all women and the poor. So, our next character is Edward Rochester. He was Jane's employer and the master of Thornfield. Rochester is a wealthy, passionate man with a dark secret that provides much of the novel's suspense. He's unconventional, ready to set aside polite manners, property, and consideration of social class just in order to interact with Jane frankly and directly. And also we have Bertha Mason. She was the wife. Bertha Mason is a formerly beautiful and wealthy cruel woman who has become insane, somehow violent and bestial. She lives locked in a secret room on the third story of Thornfield and is guarded by Grace Poole, whose occasional bouts of inebriation sometimes enable Bertha to escape. So we have also Adela Verence, Jane's pupil at Thornfield. Adela Verence is a lively though somewhat spoiled child from France. Rochester brought her to Thornfield after her mother, Celine, abandoned her. Although Celine was once Rochester's mistress, he never believed that himself to be Adela's father. And also we have Mrs. Reed. Mrs. Reed is Jane's cruel aunt who raises her until Jane is sent away to school at the age of 10. Yes, she was about 10 years old. Later in her life, Jane attempts reconciliation with her aunt, but the old woman continues to resent her because her husband, he had always loved Jane more than his own children. And also we have Helen Burns. Helen Burns is Jane's close friend at the Lowood School. She endures her miserable life there with a passive dignity that Jane couldn't understand.
Hello everybody, today I am going to cover themes and symbols. Well, first theme is fire. In fire, Jane Eyre represents destruction, as well as the rebuilding that is possible after destruction. At first, when Bertha sets fire to Richard's bedroom, this obviously threatens to destroy Rochester's life. But Jane saves him and the fire is extinguished. And the next symbol is ice. Well, in ice, Jane Eyre is a symbol for the forces trying to stand in Jane's way. After Jane leaves Thornfield Hall, the cold, icy weather weakens her and threatens to take her life if she does not find a village, receive help, and get shelter. Well, next one is food. In this novel, food symbolizes nourishment, health, and generosity, whereas hunger or lack of food symbolizes a lack of these same qualities. And then a last one is birds. Birds signify independence as well as the division in social classes. Well, next one is themes. Well, in themes, the first theme is the mad woman in the attic. Well, Jane eventually finds work as a governess at Thornfield Hall, the estate of the mysterious figure. Rochester. Jane begins to pick away the Rochester's road exterior, and we see sparks of love. And the next one is Rochester physical loss. Jane leaves after Rochester reveals his secret. One day, during her time away, Bertha escapes and sets the house on fire again. This time, it can be extinguished in a violent attempt to save her. Well, the last one is Joan Rivers. During her time away from Johnster, Jane stays with John Rivers and his family. Although St. John, as it's pronounced in the novel, seems to be bright and caring, there is a coldness to him that comes from his overzealous faith. He eventually proposes to Jane, but she refuses and decides to leave. Well, that is the end of my part, and thank you for your attention.